Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you can hear me, let me know in the chat. Hello, Miss Mary. Hey, Mr. Walker. Hey, HBCU Band Talk, Mr. Rosier, Mr. Campbell. Uh-oh. We got the Rattlers in the house. Hey, Miss Ellison or Mrs. Ellison. So I'm going to give a couple more seconds to let a few more folks come into the chat. We already at 63. So let me go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one more commercial and probably play one more song, and then we got to get to business because we have a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to go through 4 different narratives today, and this is going to be an interactive conversation. In the chat, I have a poll. And so we're going to do 4 polls. And you're going to answer whether or not you think that the statement that I'm making is true, false, or misleading. And basically, we're just going to go through some of these things. The narrative that has been placed out, it's harmful for all HBCUs because when people see some of these things, they'll lump all HBCUs in one. So even though you might be talking about one, by the time the lie gets around, they've flip-flop and scrambled it. And so now they're spreading narratives about all HBCUs. So that's why I think it's so important tonight. It's been a long time, and for the most part, I'll only be on Twitter talking. I'll say something on Twitter or whatnot. But today I've compiled, as Mr. Campbell likes to call them, SheLovesThee slides. I've compiled them all, and I'm excited to be able to share them with you tonight. So if you're in the chat and you know somebody that's in the HBCU world, or you know somebody that's skeptical about what happened at Jackson State with our former coach, Deion Sanders, make sure you share the live. Because after I show them these receipts, if they don't believe it, then at that point, they're just choosing not to. But for me, my mind and my heart will be clear. I just don't like for my alma mater to be represented in a negative way. So I'm going to present that. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and play this quick commercial, and we will get down to business. Oh, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of my mods, because my mods don't play. And for the most part, I don't necessarily moderate the chat. I have several mods that they don't play. And this is not the type of live to, say little snarky remarks and stuff like that. So Uncle Weedy, I don't know who you are, but we're just going to keep it about what we're keeping it about. And my mods already know what to do in the chat. All right. And, since I want to, I love Jackson State, I'm going to, of course, start off with the best band in the land. And then I am for real going to start. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like button. If this is your first time here, or if it's not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And let's go. I'm ready. I hope you're ready too. So once again, like I said, this is an interactive type of deal. I'm going to go through all of my slides, and then I'm going to open up the StreamYard for people to come on here and have a conversation. Share your thoughts, whether or not you agree or you disagree. So the first poll that we're going to do is, this is the first narrative. Coach Deion Sanders was responsible for upgrading Walter Payton football facilities. There's a poll, and you can choose from true, whether or not that statement is true, false, or misleading. And it's important that everybody gets what they feel. Go ahead and vote, because that's how we're going to be able to understand why these narratives are able to thrive. And I'm going to give you guys a couple more seconds to answer. So go ahead and in the poll, go ahead and hit it. Right now, it's interesting. Right now, 63% says false, 7% believes it's true, and 30% believe that it's misleading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present my information, and then we'll go back and see whether or not you feel like that's true or false. All right. So this is my first piece of evidence. And it's going to be related to that specific statement that I just made. So this says JSU is making changes to Walter Payton Center. Brother Eddie Payton calls it disrespectful. I'm going to also go ahead and drop that link in the chat so that you can go look at it yourself. I'm going to drop every receipt that I have. I'm going to drop it so that you can go back yourself, so that you don't think that because I am very good at graphic design, but just so that you guys don't think that I went and did this on my own, I'm going to drop all of my receipts. So I want you guys, I'm going to try to see if I can zoom in a little bit more, because I want you guys to pay attention to the date that particular article was published. Can everybody see that? It says October 19th, 2019. So in 2019, the Walter Payton Center, JSU, is making changes in 2019. JSU says changes designed to benefit all students, but Eddie Payton believes otherwise. So the content basically of this particular article is speaking about key points. The revamped area will include weight room, locker room, offices, and a student lounge. The racquetball courts and other undesignated rooms are being removed. Eddie Payton is concerned the center will become more like an athletic facility. The university says current use by students and the public will not be compromised, because the Walter Payton Center, it's like a recreation and wellness center on campus. And Mr. Eddie Payton, he was very he wanted for it to remain for students and for the public. So he didn't want that particular thing compromised. And he said, Payton, who said he only learned of the changes after construction began October 1st. So this is 2019. Jackson State is breaking construction for these upgrades. Payton, who said he only learned of the changes after construction began October 1st, believes the project is ultimately designed to cater to the football program, with offices for coaches and a lounge for recruits, among other things. So it says the $1.149 million project, scheduled to be completed in August, is being handled by Connerly Construction, Inc. and paid for with federal Title III money. So, federal Title III money in October of 2019. That dispels the narrative right there. And it costs $1.149 million. And it says, what changes are being made at the Walter Payton Center? Weight room, locker rooms, offices, meeting spaces, computer lab, reception area, assembly, student lounge. So basically, in order to not compromise the space for regular non-student athletes, just regular students, and for public use, what they did is they utilized the places in the Walter Payton Center that were underutilized. Okay, so once again, this is in October of 2019. Coach Prime wasn't even heard of. That's one thing I love about facts. You can't refute them. So you can't really refute that. So Coach Deion Sanders being responsible for upgrading the Walter Payton Center, the correct answer is false. He was not responsible for that. And that's just the bottom line. The bottom line. All right. So I wanted to add a little bit extra. I did the article, right? I did the article. But I have to add in a little extra. I can't just show you an article. I have to show you some type of video evidence, right? So this is my timeline. Jackson State announces the renovations for Walter Payton in 2019. In January of 2020, A.D. Ashley Robinson expressed interest in Coach Deion Sanders. I have the article for that as well. We'll be going over that later on in the show, but this is just the timeline. And this was done allegedly at the Senior Bowl. So underneath everything, folks don't even know what's going on. Nobody's believing it. So then Coach Deion Sanders graduates from Talladega College August 2020. So he gets his degree, and a month later, he becomes the 21st head coach on September 21st, 2020. This is just more proof that Coach Deion Sanders did not pay for the facilities, and that he was he knew, as part of becoming a head coach, he knew that Jackson State was getting ready to get some facilities. And so now I'm getting ready to play the video of Coach Deion Sanders touring the facilities while they're under construction. And I want to say that I posted the link in the chat as well, so you can take a look at that.
Coach Prime, driving in style, check the front out, logoed up.
Oh yeah, baby. This is the way we do it at JSU. This is the way we do it at JSU. How can you not want to be a part of this? How can you not want to be a part of this? And you see the big ties on there? You know why they put the big ties? Because I'm coming to your house to get you. I'm coming to recruit you, baby. I'm coming to find you wherever you are. Wherever you are, I'm coming. All right? Get ready, because I believe. Wow. What am I looking at?
You're looking at your peer classroom, coaches' offices, locker room, collaboration center, coaches' strength and conditioning.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to. I was trying to pause it. But did anybody catch what A.D. Ashley Robinson and Coach Deion Sanders said? Coach Prime said, "What am I looking at?" And A.D. Ashley Robinson said, "Well, you're looking at X, Y, and Z." I'm going to play it one more time, and this time, because I don't think there's a pause button, I'm going to just let it run all the way through. But this is important because this was on the same day that he accepted and announced that he was the head coach. Same type of attire that he was wearing when he basically came up on stage. So it's posted on September 29th, but that was basically after it was edited and stuff. So the day that it was taken was on the day that he accepted the head coach position. So basically what that means is this particular part of the football facilities was already underway, and he knew that. Coming into Jackson State, he knew that I'm going to have X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be ready at a certain date.
Coach Prime, driving in style, check the front out, logoed up.
Okay? If it's one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come with some receipts now. I'm going to come with some receipts because that's what I have to do. So, what does that tell you? So, basically, that means that that particular statement was false. Okay? Next. I'm going to close this poll now. And we're going to start a new poll because we have a new question. Narrative number 2. True, false, or misleading? All right. Let's go on to our next narrative. Narrative number 2. Coach Deion Sanders donated his $300,000 salary to finish the student athlete lounge. Everybody go to that chat, the poll, and hit whether or not you feel like it's true, false, or misleading. And I'm going to play the video that basically started this false narrative that has been shared and rehashed and regurgitated over and over again so many different times that at this point, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, Jackson State should have corrected him. See, here's the thing. Jackson State didn't care about getting credit because it was about the overall university and the football team. We didn't care about getting credit or making a correction or making a correct statement. There's a lot of different narratives that the school as a college entity, as an educational entity, they're not getting ready to respond to every single false narrative that comes out. It's not a professional thing for a educational or a university to have to come out on several different occasions and say, well, you know, that's not true. Well, you know, that's not true. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video. And if you are in the chat and you see the poll, go ahead and answer the question. Is it true, false, or misleading?
So this is what we paid for. Cut the gates down, put the grass down. We're gonna put more like picnic benches kind of out there.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, they pressure washed the building, and we got all the weeds, and we cut all the trees back and all that. But this is where they sit down, and they're taking their shoes off.
So is this the back of the Walter Payton?
Yeah, this is the back of the facility, and I can show you.
Maybe think about how you were going to get out. No, you had to do all this.
Yeah, cut the gates down. Like all those big metal things all the way across.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we put that there. That's a dog cage. But some people come over here and they put their wrap thing right there.
All right.
Around the bottom of it. Yeah. But this is so
This is so smart. You did it.
I'm a Swartz Bunny. That's what. So there's still a lot of stuff that we don't. This is gonna be the Bunyan area. I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
When I say the Bunyan area, her husband, successful, very successful businessman, plans to do our electronics, TVs, and for the lounge.
Ah, this is it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have, I think his area over here somewhere. And we're gonna put all the TVs so they can play the PlayStation and all that over one of these areas. Probably against that wall.
Oh, that's perfect.
putting a couple barbershop chairs over there. Yeah, that'll be good. You heard that? Gillette to sponsor that area. We need to do that.
Please.
We're gonna put the barber chairs over there, and that's the other one in the new room for the position. We'll probably have to put the tight end or something in that room, because they have a small group, because we don't have the space.
Okay. And this has to be ready when?
By the 4th of August.
So 2 weeks?
Nelly, you might want to get this. I got a funny feeling something's about to go down.
I looked at my friends. I was like, it's about to go down.
So this all has to be done in a couple weeks
Yep.
because the budget's tapped out. So here's what I think you're going to need to do, which means we're doing this.
Okay.
I think we need to donate.
What?
Donate.
I don't. We've been
Donate. Donate more. I think you're going to have to give up some of your salary to do this.
We ain't filming this over. So
Oh, this is on camera?
So we're gonna give up some of my salary to get this
Well,
done.
don't forget, part of your salary is part of my salary.
Right.
So this is a team. I think we give up a quarter of your salary
Quarter.
to finish this up. A quarter.
20% is my profit, Tango. I give you that. What do I got left? Nothing. Around 20% puts me out of business, and every somebody you know out of business. There's legitimate ways of doing things, Tango, and then there's this way. Not even Bumpy took 20%.
I know how much all this costs now. You do know.
What if you're the one on the ground with this? You've taken this over. You're the GC. We've got what? The wiring, the new rooms, the walls, electronics. How's our Wi-Fi?
Excuse me.
This is your legacy we're talking about.
You make it back.
We're gonna make it back.
You gotta make it back.
I'm gonna make it back.
You gotta make it back.
Do we always make it back?
We always make it back.
Okay.
We're good with that.
All right.
How much? How much?
Quarter of your salary.
Quarter?
Quarter.
You sure?
What do you think? Is that enough?
A little more than that.
A little more?
I put more than that on it. I put more than that on it to get this done for these kids. To get this done for these kids. Now you got me hyped, man.
Let's go.
I put more than that on it. I put half on it.
Half your
I
salary?
put half on it to get this done.
Mic drop.
I put half on it to get this done.
I mean,
If you don't believe me, check me. Check me. I will send you the receipts.
It doesn't end with you.
We gotta get this done.
That's beautiful.
Because this is gonna be a nice game room and all that. But we gotta get this done. Because when we come back to camp, I want to be in here.
Okay. We got to get everybody rolling. Double time,
We got
overtime,
that. I got that.
prime time.
I got that.
Half, you heard it, half his salary. No, I got to make it back.
That's right, I'm talking about. You gotta make it back.
This is for the kids. It's always about the kids. That's what people forget. It's about the kids.
What kind of theme song we gotta put on at the end of that?
Must be the I can't
Yeah. Put that on there. Put that. That's good. Put that on. Matter of fact, Neely, hit that right.
This particular live, I might not be able to monetize it because that's like 2 different music on there. They might flag me. So please make a donation. Thank you so much for supporting the channel because more than likely I'm not going to be able to make any money off of this. Okay, so Coach Deion Sanders, did he donate his $300,000? Let me go and look at this poll and see, have y'all been voting? Let's see what it's looking like. Let's see what the poll is looking like. So 10% of you think that is true. 62% of you think it's false. And 28% of you think that it's misleading. And drum roll, please. Misleading. This is misleading. So what happened is that the construction and all of the stuff that was put together to complete the lounge, it was complete. But Deion Sanders wanted some extra things to be placed into the lounge. And you know what? The student athletes are appreciative, and I'm sure there's not someone that shouldn't say, you know what, we're appreciative of that. What we are not appreciative of, number one, he only said that he was donating half of his salary. That's number one. The narrative has been that he donated his complete salary to doing the facilities. So he said that he donated half of his salary. Later on in the show, we're going to go over his salary. And I can guarantee you it definitely wasn't half. So whatever types of amenities that he felt like he wanted to add, that did come out of his pocket. So he and then we don't even know, did it actually come out of his pocket? We're not pocket watching, but when you have that sort of leeway, it's nothing to call up somebody and say, hey, X, Y, and Z, I need X, Y, and Z. You did hear him say in the video, hey, Gillette, I need you to sponsor my barber lounge. You know what I'm saying? So there's always 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways to skin a cat. And when I tell you Smack Entertainment and Deion Sanders, you know that they're marketing machines. But when you're a marketing machine, you have to have a story to market. And they made millions of dollars off of Jackson State University. And I'm not even joking. And this is at the FCS level, making millions of dollars. And when I say off of Jackson State was not upset about Deion Sanders making money. The problem is the misleading and not correcting falsehoods about Jackson State. And that's what I'm doing here today. I am not going to discredit our 2 SWAC championships. I am not going to discredit the great football program that he put together. But what I am going to do is I'm going to correct the falsehoods that were put out about Jackson State, because it's not fair. And Jackson State should not have to put out a statement every single time. But on the bigger picture and the bigger scale, taking Jackson State and just placing it as HBCU and the negative narratives that has been said about Jackson State or Bethune-Cookman or any other HBCU, they all bundle us into one. So that's another reason why it's so dangerous. So once again, Coach Prime decided he wanted extra amenities in the student lounge. And those were provided whether he used his money or he got someone to donate, whatever. That was the extent to what contributions he made to the student lounge facility. And I'm going to go ahead and stop that last poll. Let me see. Okay. Narrative number 3. Well, Deion Sanders, he was only making $500,000. I mean, I would have left too. I would have definitely left. He's only making $500,000. He wasn't making no money. They wasn't even giving him all his money. So, it's interesting that people are saying this about Jackson State. So before I continue with narrative number 3, I am going to go to an SI article, and it goes over the time prior to Coach Prime deciding to go to Jackson State. And why are we reading this? Well, we're reading it. I think it's important to put context to this. Jackson State was a charity case. I just need to put it out there. So let me give you a little bit of background about Smack Entertainment. So Smack Entertainment, it's probably one of the biggest successes for Coach Prime. So Coach Prime has a lot of connects in the sports world. He knows everybody. And then if he doesn't know somebody, he knows somebody that knows somebody. So Shador's senior year of high school, I don't know if you guys have watched the YouTube series that he had, but basically he had a coaching, it was kind of like a coaching show. It was on YouTube where he's basically coaching Shador, and they go to all these different cities. So at some point, whether it was Shador's senior year or maybe even his junior year, he decided that he wanted to possibly coach at the college level, right? And so he started, let me fish. Let me see what I can find. Okay. So there's a lot of people that were like, he had interest at the Power 5 level before Jackson State, and that's not what happened. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to drop this particular, once again, receipt. This is from October of 2020. This is si.com. Sometimes people just need to read, but they don't want to. So this says, last year after firing Coach Chad Morris, Hunter Yurachek's cell phone buzzed with the name of a sports agent. So a sports agent reached out to an AD in Arkansas. For the athletic director at Arkansas, who was beginning a coaching search, this wasn't unusual. I need you to at least talk to this guy about the position, the agent told Yurachek. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders? So let's listen to that sentence, right? Or let's replay that sentence. I need you to at least talk to this guy about the position. So you ever the good old boys network? I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and they'll be like, I can get you an interview, or I can get your foot in the door. So basically, Deion's, and if you read the entirety of the article, it'll basically go on how he decided that he wanted to coach at the college level. And so Yurachek obliged, the AD at Arkansas. He interviewed Sanders for the head coaching job at Arkansas. So he did the interview. He said, okay. You want to interview? I don't mind. I'll go ahead and give you an interview. So he gave him the interview. So what is interesting about that is okay. Hold on, y'all, just a second. We're going to take a commercial break. I'm going to play a song. Give me 1 second, and I will be back. My son came in. All right. Sorry for that. Okay, let's get back to this. Sorry. So, basically where I was at was I was letting you know that he basically was trying to get an interview, and the AD gave him the interview for the Arkansas job. And here's the problem with the narrative. And I'm going to read it to you. And this is not a diss to Coach Prime at all. But let's look at this page. What year was that? Arkansas Razorbacks hire Sam Pittman as new head coach. December 8, 2019. And it says Sam Pittman, a former assistant at Arkansas, will be the Razorbacks' next head football coach. Athletic director Hunter Yurachek announced Sunday. So this is in 2019, before Jackson State was even heard of or thought of, right? This is the narrative that they put out. He could have went other places. According to this SI article, let's read a little bit further. I was thoroughly impressed with Deion, Yurachek says. I didn't think this was the right starting point for him as a collegiate head coach in the SEC, but I think Jackson State is a great landing spot. So that's the old, there's a good old boy network where if you have the right hue, you can get a head coaching position. But for this AD, he was letting them know, I didn't think that him getting a head coaching position in the SEC, I didn't think that this was a good starting point for him. So he started fishing for jobs. Mind you, he didn't even have a degree. So you couldn't be a head coach at that point in time, even if you wanted to. You couldn't. If somebody said, hey, we want you to be the head coach of X, Y, and Z, in 2019, he couldn't get it anyway. He didn't have a bachelor's degree. And you have to have a bachelor's degree. There's some things that you can get. You can definitely skip the line in some things, but at the bare minimum, you have to have a degree. So the Smack Entertainment talent management company, she bought in a manager, a sports agent. They basically helped him craft a thick binder that included his organizational plan, potential coaching staff members, and let's highlight this, long-term goals. Long-term goals. So he already had his long-term goals. Do you honestly think that his long-term goals was to be in the SWAC? No. That's not his long-term goals that he had in this big binder and this organizational on what he was going to do. It wasn't to stay in the SWAC. He also had a coaching searching firm. And it just tells you about, this article tells you about the different interviews that he landed. Arkansas, and he also spoke to officials at his alma mater, Florida State. But at this point in time, once again, he still did not have a degree. The connection between Sanders and Jackson State happened well before JSU athletic director Ashley Robinson dismissed coach John Hendrick on August 31st. In fact, the courtship started as far back as the Senior Bowl in January, says C. Daryl Neely, a Jackson native and prominent JSU booster. The two, Sanders and JSU, courted one another for months in what was one of the best kept secrets in Jackson, only because no one believed it. If you scroll down, it also says that Trinity, which is Shador's high school, they played a game on August 21st against Madison Ridgeland Academy, about a 25-minute drive from JSU campus. They finalized an agreement over the course of the next few weeks. So they talked about it in January. They got him his degree from Talladega College, August 2020. He was able to obtain his degree. And the rest is the story. The story is the story. So that's narrative that we were charity case, this, that, and the third. No, we gave Coach Prime an opportunity. A great opportunity. No head coaching experience, Yes, you've been in the NFL, but, we gave him an opportunity to jump because there's a lot of people that have been coaching at the college level for years. Back to, did he make $500,000 per year? Let me see what this poll is looking like. Oh, I'm so glad. Look at y'all. Y'all are making me proud. 70% of you believe that it's false. 21% believe it's misleading. So let's go ahead and break down the numbers. It's false. Coach Prime did not make $500,000 per year. He actually made close to upwards of $1.5 million a year. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through this salary. Not that it matters, but I just want to dispel this narrative that he was only making $500,000. Now, mind you, $1.5 million, it is definite. $5 million is way different than $500,000. $5 million is definitely way more than $1.5 million. But making $1.5 million at the FCS level is unheard of. There's coaches in North Dakota State who are blue blood programs, South Dakota State, that do not make $1.5 million. And I could not find the video, but there's a video out there. And he said, it ain't about the money. I got the money. They scrubbed that one. That interview is actually with the one with Brandon Marshall. He said, it ain't about the money. I got money. So his base salary was $300,000. That's what the state paid. JSU Developmental Foundation came up with $200,000. So that's the $500,000. So it's a $1.2 million over a 4-year base salary. And with the Developmental Foundation, it put him at $2 million over a 4-year span. Miss Veronica, can you drop the video, the link? Okay, so $500,000 per year plus. He receives $25,000 for each win over a FBS team. As we know, he lost to ULM. Close but no cigar. He gets $10,000 for a SWAC division title and $30,000 for a conference championship. So that's an extra $40,000 that he got for both years. If the team reaches the Celebration Bowl, he'd receive $50,000 for a bowl win. We know that was a bust for 2 years in a row. So this particular number right here is what gets everybody in a hizzy. If a game draws more than 30,000 fans, he gets 10% of all sales after the 30,000. So what that means is if you have 50,000 fans in the stadium, how many of those fans is going to count towards that 10% of all sales? It's going to be 50,000 fans minus the 30,000 because it's after the 30,000. So that means 20,000 of the fans, you're going to get 10% of all those sales. And, I got a calculator. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we do 20,000 fans and we charge $30 a ticket. That's $600,000, and he's going to get 10% of that, so he's going to get $60,000. So he would make $60,000 off of a game. So, and that's, I'm going to say this right now. That, and Mr. Clark, we're getting there. We're getting there, Mr. Clark. So I'm not saying that, I mean, he is right. Jackson State should have more home games, but there's also an incentive for him to have more home games too. If JSU changes conferences, he gets 100,000. So there was, a push for us to change a conference and go to the FBS. We're going to get on to that in the forward thinking. We're going to get on to that. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. Are you telling me there's more? Are you telling me Deion Sanders gets more money? What? What? So you're telling me there's more money that Coach Prime gets? So let me break this down to you. Mind you, these types of deals that were going on, unheard of for FCS coaches. Unheard of. And you know what? Jackson State was not mad. You know what? Coach Prime, you do you. You are a marketing machine. You're pushing for HBCUs. You have a great storyline. God's called you here. Proctor, okay, so we're going to start with one deal. I put up here, here's what I did. I put up here two of the biggest deals that took place. These are two of the biggest deals that were put together, and a lot of these deals were brokered by Smack Entertainment. Mind you, Deion Sanders absolutely has relationships with a lot of these places, but let's keep it a buck. Deion Sanders has had relationships for these people for years. Do you think they're going to write him a blank $3 million check? No. What is it that Deion Sanders had in his hand that would make Walmart give Jackson State $2 million or make Procter & Gamble donate $1 million per year? It was the storyline. I came here because God sent me here. George Floyd XYZ, HBCUs, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you have a pitch to a business and you're trying to pitch them a story, the story is, I'm restoring Jackson State back to the prominence of the Walter Payton days. It's a story. So with Procter & Gamble, it's a 3-year deal that they brokered, $1 million per year. So these particular deals are structured as grants. And when they're structured as grants, 40% of administrative costs can be earmarked by the nonprofit. So you can have 40% of administrative costs that you say, this is going to be to pay X, Y, and Z. So basically, Procter & Gamble gave us $1 million a year. That 40% admin costs went to Deion Sanders. So that means that Deion Sanders received $400,000 in 2021, and Deion Sanders received $400,000 in 2022. So now it's not necessarily looking like a charity case to me. It's not looking like a charity case to me. So that means Jackson State was getting $600,000 in 2021 and in 2022. This Procter & Gamble deal ends after this year. This year, Jackson State University got the whole $1 million from Procter & Gamble. We got the whole $1 million. The Walmart deal, it's a 4-year grant for $2 million. So every year, Walmart cuts a check for $500,000. 40%, once again, is an admin cost. So that particular deal went to Smack Entertainment. So, Smack is doing all these deals and stuff. They need to get paid some way too, right? 40%. How much is 40% of 500,000? That's 200,000. So that means out of that Walmart deal, Jackson State was getting roughly $300,000. So no, we're not a charity case. If anything were a come up, this is like a PPP loan. When they have the PPP loan or the unemployment, like this is a money maker. They are making bank. And that's not the only types of deals that Coach Prime was able to acquire. So even in the Walmart deal, you had the Walmart commercials, you had the YIHBCU, NIL deal for his kids, Chromebook, American Airlines. Anybody know any of other deals that were brokered, or if you saw them on Coach Prime's page and he's like, I always bring in Jackson State on all my deals. Well, of course you are going to always bring Jackson State on your deals. If you bring Jackson State in on your deal, you're able to get more money because this is my school. And you know what? I want everybody to understand. Jackson State was never mad about it. But it wasn't a charity case. He was getting paid. And you can't get these types of deals. Walmart's not just going to give out a blank check to Deion Sanders. He has to have a storyline behind it. You have to have a message. You have to have something that you're marketing. And it was Jackson State. And all of these different deals that he had, yes, he had the connects. There's a possibility that they already had something in the works. But with Jackson State and utilizing Jackson State, he catapulted off of Jackson State because of the storyline. Let's talk a little bit about the we got the Prime documentary, the Barstool documentary, Amazon Prime, tax write-offs, Aflac, like all of these things that you might have already had relationships, but because of the storyline of Jackson State, you were able to catapult it. You were able to garner. There are endorsements that Coach Prime got that Jackson State actually didn't get any money from. We didn't get any of the money. And you know what? Jackson State didn't care. You want to know why? Coach Prime, you taking care of us. You're doing this for HBCUs. God called you. Do what you got to do. But then Coach Prime was getting kind of out of hand. And we're going to talk about that later, this is the forward thinking that we're talking about. Mind you, this is unheard of in FCS football, probably in FBS football too. It's unheard of that a coach utilizing these types of things. The I Believe field, practice field. So let's talk a little bit about the I Believe field, because a lot of people are saying, oh, Coach Prime got you guys $1 million field. So this is what happened. So with the Walmart deal, once again, I told you that he takes out $40,000 in administrative costs. So $200,000 is already gone. So that leaves roughly about $300,000. $300,000 went towards that practice field, and the JSU Developmental Foundation, the Tiger Fund, paid for the rest. So that particular field, we had $300,000 to put towards it. The rest was paid for by the Developmental Foundation. So with the deals, all the commercials, all the stuff that you saw, anything tied in with Jackson State, Coach Prime was making roughly $1.5 million a year. 1.5 million don't sound like a charity case to me. It sounds like a come up. Smack was getting paid. Coach Prime was getting paid. Kids getting NIL deals. Travis Hunter getting NIL deals at black banks. Actively black this, black that, because that's what you're promoting. So the next narrative that we're going to talk about is Jackson State was not forward thinking. Let me go ahead and look at this right here. All right, so we got 13% of you that believed that it was true, or well, 14%. 62% that thought it was false, and 24% that thought it was misleading about the his salary being $500,000. Well, we've dispelled that myth. It's about he was making about 1.5 million. Coach Prime did receive he received a $400,000 payment in December when he exited Jackson State. And that is when we said to them, Jackson State put out a statement that Jackson State has met all financial obligations to Deion Sanders. All financial obligations have been made. So now we're going to attack Jackson State was not forward thinking. I'm going to end that poll. And we're going to start a new one. Narrative number 4. I think this one right here, this one right here is a little bit more, I feel like it's a little bit more messy. Because for me, when you make those type of statements, you just open it up to interpretation. It's however you want to interpret it. The problem with someone asking a direct question and then Coach Prime not really answering it is you leave it up for interpretation. Coach Prime, was any money stolen from you? The answer is no. Did you make $500,000 at Jackson State? Was that how much you were making? No. Did you help pay for the Walter Payton facilities? No. Those are the type of answers that a person would want for somebody to just go ahead and clear up the narratives. And instead, it either goes unanswered or someone else says something about it. And that's what ends up happening. But I'm not going to continue to just sit here and let these narratives squabble without giving the facts. Thank you, Mr. Owens, for the donation. I do have the super chat, so thank you, Mr. Owens, for the donation. You can also make donations. They're at the bottom of the screen. So I went ahead and put up the second poll, or the last poll that I had for tonight before I open up the StreamYard, and that is Jackson State was not forward thinking. Let's look up the definition of forward thinking. Forward looking. So when I put forward thinking, it said forward looking. Favoring innovation and development. Progressive. A forward looking company. Enlightened. Progressive. bold, dynamic. I don't know about you, but I think that everything that Jackson State was doing when they hired Coach Prime was forward-looking, forward-thinking, innovative. The things that they were allowing Coach Prime to do, Colorado made sure that whenever he signed that contract, some of them loopholes that he was doing, he's not going to be able to do that in Colorado. One of those is the taking over of the social media. I'm not going to allow you to do that. Very important to look at these things with forward thinking. The correct answer for the forward thinking is up to interpretation. Because some people might feel like it's not forward thinking, while other people might think, maybe they should have done this or maybe they should have done that. But hiring a high school coach who's never even actually been a head coach outside of the 7-on-7, or I think he did a little bit of coaching with the Under Armour All-Stars or stuff like that. When we're talking about like actually being the head coach, now at the high school level, he was like kind of like the head coach, but he was the offensive coordinator. And I think that might have also just maybe had to do with, I don't know. He was not the head coach is basically what we're saying. We took a chance on someone who Arkansas and Florida State, his own alma mater, was like, you're not ready for the SEC, Deion. And so AD Ashley Robinson, he's done pretty good with his hiring. And you know what? I will say this. Outside of all the bullshit that we've had to put up with, the fallout and the misinformation, AD Ashley Robinson did a great hire as far as the innovation and the forward thinking. But the fallout has been damaging, not just to Jackson State, but all HBCUs. And there's a lot of people that was like, we knew he was like that. We knew he was like that. I didn't know it. Let me see. And some people are saying he couldn't be a high school coach without a degree either, which that would speak of it. Okay, I see it, Miss Veronica. Let me see. So this is when you knew things were, getting a little bit sticky. But you have to understand, Jackson State University is an educational college first. And you have to protect the brand. After all of the things that Jackson State allowed Coach Prime to do, he still just wanted to do more and more and more. At some point, you got to tell somebody, no, you're not doing that. So this is on Instagram. It says BET Plus revives College Hill at Texas Southern University, set to feature celebrities. Deion Sanders Jr. comments, tried to do it at JSU, but ... And then someone says, right, because this ain't it. Far from authentic. That wasn't even the plan. They were trying to bring the regular show back. It's just a lot of nonsense happening behind the scenes. Y'all will know one day. So this is the thing. You don't get to just come into Jackson State. You already making all these types of deals. And then you think that you're just going to bully your way through and you get to film College Hill. And when someone tells you no, all of a sudden there's some problems behind the scenes. Was going to be at JSU would have been excellent for branding and exposure. I don't know, has anybody ever watched College Hill? Oh, well, it went to Texas Southern. Shout out to Tracy Edmonds for what she's doing for the culture. Now, here's the problem I have with that narrative. Both Alabama State and Texas Southern had College Hill at their university. What type of branding and exposure did it bring for them? What type of exposure does Texas Southern have from these ghetto people fighting, cussing, acting ignorant? What type of exposure did they get? So this was another one of those kind of deals where they make a deal, they get a certain amount of money. Do you think Colorado is letting College Hill at Boulder come to Colorado? You think they're going to let them film that? Nobody's watching it. It is not a reflection of HBCU culture. It's not a reflection of HBCU schools. It's just disgusting. And I'm not trying to talk about Miss Tracy, because had it been for something else, like maybe just a regular school, or had she actually had students that, college students, and the old College Hill was not a good representation of HBCUs at all. It was like dumb jock, promiscuous girl. It was just not a good representation of schools. 198708. So, and you can leave it up to interpretation, but basically Deion Sanders is insinuating that there's a lot of nonsense happening behind the scenes. So you not being able to watch College Hill or film College Hill at Jackson State is the nonsense you're talking about. So yeah, I remember that. And I don't even know how old I was, but I remember that. They call me no draws. Terrible for HBCUs. Made us look like party schools. So, let's talk a little bit about some other things. And then once again, I will be opening the StreamYard for people to come up and have a conversation. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was some of the other things of what forward thinking means. And what I mean by that is Jackson State moving out of SWAC conference and going FBS. First of all, you have to be invited to an FBS conference. That's number one. Number two, if you know that your coach, it gets back to you, that your coach is fishing for another job, why would you try to make a jump to the FBS for a coach that you know is not going to be there for 5 years later? I'm sorry, but if I'm Jackson State administration, no, we're not interested in moving to FBS at this time. I'm not interested. Jackson State, as most colleges and universities, especially for HBCUs, our main form of monetary dollars comes from research, not from sports. So you want us to leave the SWAC to go to some unknown FBS, or you're telling us to go independent. And you're mad because Jackson State ain't trying to do that. We're not interested. No. So we don't want to film College Hill. We don't want to go FBS at this time. That's not something we're interested in because, of course, why would we want to go FBS? We know that you had a secret interview with X, Y, and Z. And you're going to be gone. Why am I going to put my whole entire university in financial hardship because you want to go FBS and you already over here trying to get other jobs? Another thing about forward thinking. And this might be because Coach Prime was not in college athletics, he doesn't know how processes work. So most universities, even at the Power 5 level, the football revenue finances the rest of the athletic department. It's no way to get around it. It is what it is. There's women's sports that are required by law, by federal law. They have to be funded. You can't get away from it. So Coach Primes was mad because football revenue was being transferred from the football revenue budget to the general athletic budget. And this is what that narrative came about, where they said that, oh, they're stealing football revenue. Now, y'all know good and doggone well that football pays for the majority of the other sports. Stop playing. Stop playing in our faces. And the whole media rights and all this stuff about all these different conferences, I will do a show one day, but basically the premise is, even with these $1 million media rights and these football games that draw in $15 million, most of these Power 5s and FBS teams are either barely in the black or they're in the red still. They're in the red. Even with $30 million media rights deals and their FBS teams, they still be running their athletic budget in the red. And that's why you see the Pac-12 disintegrate into thin air, or you see the CAA, they just went and took a whole bunch of football teams because these different conferences, they're not making money like they say they are. So Deion Sanders did not like Jackson State telling him, no, you cannot have College Hill. No, we are not moving up FBS. No, we are not interested in this type of documentary happening on our campus. And if you do film that documentary, you're going to have to come up off of something. We're going to need some money too. You over here making $1.5 million. You don't want to come up off of no money. And that was what the forward thinking that they're talking about. This money that you received for the Celebration Bowl, yes, it's going towards all of the SWAC, or yes, it's going towards this. No, you're not going to have an exclusive football revenue budget. No college in the NCAA does that. Even Colorado funds the rest of their athletic department through their football. So that's why the forward thinking, it's up to interpretation. It's how do you want to interpret it? Do you want to say, well, Jackson State isn't forward thinking because they should have just did what Deion said because Deion knows what he's doing? He wanted to be the athletic director, the president, the person that signs the check, the person that divvies up the check, the coach. I guarantee you he ain't stepping on nobody's toes up in the mountains. He's a football coach and that's it. And you know what? There was nothing wrong with Coach Prime taking on that role that he wanted to take on. The problem was when you became too overbearing, the types of statements that he was making as a coach was causing an uproar. And he was kind of like on some stuff like, nobody can check me. I'm uncheckable. I'm Deion. And that's basically what happened. Like, it just, that's what happened. Over 300 people in the chat. Go ahead and hit that like button. I am dropping the StreamYard. I would love to hear your thoughts. Let's have a conversation on the narratives. Do you believe some of them? You don't believe some of them? And that's the thing, like, these folks think that white ice is colder and it's not. How you doing, Mr. Ford?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
All right. You're doing good.
Yes, I'm glad that you came up here, Mr. Ford. Go ahead and share your thoughts.
Okay. I know I've been listening a little bit, but I've been watching the Braves baseball game too. Now, I know you dealing with the false narratives about what's being said about Jackson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You've done a great job. I think you spoke for all of us.
Well, Mr. Ford, how do you think that the HBCUs are going to be able to, move on from this and move past it? Because it seems like we revisit all the time. We're revisiting it.
Well, like I told Doc last night, I was telling him, I told him Jackson State been great since 1876. He corrected me, he said it's 1877. And I said, if you look at Prime was born in 1967, I think, or 66. And you talking about a school that's, been great since 1877. Why are we even having this conversation? All of the great people, that school has been great since 1877. And then we talking about somebody that just come on the scene. And, it's to me, it's like Jackson State ain't got nothing to prove. All the brilliant people that come out of Jackson State, all them programs they got, they're one of the top research institutes in America. They got all this technology. They got all these they put out so many brilliant people because we got a lot of them here in Atlanta. The truth is always going to come to the top. The cream going to rise to the top. Jackson State is one of the top schools in the country. Athletically, academically, socially, you name it. So, for me now, like I tell everybody, Prime don't worry me because I'm one of them people. I'm glad he gone. I was happy when he's gone because to me, he was double-minded. He was never really there. I mean, he was there for 2 years, but he was looking for a way to get out. So I'm glad he gone. That's my thing. I'm glad he gone. And I'm with TC, and I want TC to be successful, and I know he going to be successful. So Prime and Boulder, good. TC and Jackson, good. That's what I wanted. So, I'm one of the last people to ask about Prime because, I've been doing Prime since he came out of Fort Miles in '85. I saw him in the Georgia-Florida game years ago. Him and a boy named Sammy Smith. They don't tell y'all this, but Sammy Smith was actually faster than Deion was.
Ooh.
And I remember when he came out of high
remember that.
school. Yeah, when he came out of high school, he was drafted by the Kansas City Royals, and he went to Florida State. So listen,
No,
Deion
it
don't
was the
worry me.
Yankees. It was the Yankees, Mr. Ford.
No.
Yankees.
When he was in high
It
school,
was
when
in
he
high
came
school.
out of high school, he was drafted by the Kansas City Royals. Because Sherhost drafted him.
And then when he lost his amateurism status at Florida State because he had got drafted by the Yankees.
Yeah, you're right. Right. My bad.
Yeah, listen, I saw him. He came out of high school in '85. He was in the original Georgia-Florida game. I'm telling you, we've been knowing him for years. He was with a boy named, it was him, Tim Kipton. Tim went to Penn State. He was out of Miami. I'm telling y'all, the baddest boy went to prison. His name was Sammy Smith. Sammy ran, when they did the 4x1 at Florida State, Deion was not the anchor. It was Sammy Smith. But Sammy went to the Dolphins and got caught with dope, for being distributing dope, and they put him in prison. But Sammy was the baddest boy. But they don't tell you that. They don't want you to know that because he wasn't their boy.
Yeah, Timona, you've been doing good with the slides as always. You make me pull out my damn notepad and start taking notes over here. You already know how I feel about this. Like, you know, when they said we wasn't forward thinking, my whole thing is we was forward thinking when we hired you. We were forward thinking when we put all that, you know, when everybody pull all that money together to make sure that you got paid. When you saying that you're not worried about money. Of course, you worth $70 million, but you're not worried about money. And to me, it's like I said, you had already had one foot out the door as soon as Ashley named you the head coach for the university. But we also said this. I know we said this yesterday, Mr. Ford. Like you said, he ain't bigger than the school.
Yeah, he ain't bigger than the school. That's what he wanted to be. See, another thing.
What he thought.
But see, another thing that they don't. A lot of people, some people know it. See, he got pissed off with Hudson because Hudson wouldn't let that Edmonds girl come in and do that. What I call that slapstick stuff, or what they call reality TV. They eventually, I think she did it at Texas Southern. She wanted to do that at Jackson. And Hudson said he wasn't going to let them make Jackson look bad like that. She
just got through saying that. She just got through talking about it.
He went, and see, he was mad about that. Because, Deion was like Bobby Knight. See, when Bobby Knight was the head basketball coach in Indiana, he thought he was bigger than the president. That's why everybody knew when Miles Brand came there as the president, they knew them two were going to clash. John Feinstein, who wrote that book, he wrote that book that was about, he went and stayed with Bobby Knight. Oh, I can't think of it now. It was in the 80s. He wrote a book about, he went and stayed with Indiana, and he predicted. No. I'm getting old, y'all. But anyway, in the book, he predicted that Bobby Knight was going to have it out with Miles Brand. Eventually, Miles Brand fired him because he said that the way it was in Indiana, Bobby Knight was as big as the governor. Because he was the head basketball coach of that program, and they had won like 2 or 3 national championships. Oh, I'm just hurt. I can't even think of the name of the book. One of the best sports books you can read, man. It was written by a guy named John Feinstein.
Jerome, I'll look it up. You said Feinstein?
Yeah, John Feinstein. He wrote a book about he stayed with the University in the Indiana basketball program for 1 year, and then he wrote a book. How
you doing, Jerome?
Hey, I am doing well. Wanted to, of course, acknowledge Timona, Mr. Ford, Doc Holliday, Willie. I just want all of us to take a moment for a minute, and maybe this is just the Jacksonian in me. Very proud of what Timona has presented to us tonight. She is the epitome of that research training that we had at Jackson State because we are a research institution. So for those of y'all in the chat, just want to let you know what Timona just eloquently she just kind of dissected and sliced every single last one of us for the last hour. Kudos to Timona. That was amazing. So I tip my hat to you.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to, I'm not going to be on long. I just want to say, there were a couple of things that gave me a red flag while Coach Prime was at Jackson State. Of course, I don't know if you guys remember his documentary, but there was a scene where, the football team was taken to a hotel, which was paid for by the university, not him. And he was in the swimming pool, fully clothed, taking a bath, and that hotel was not in Jackson; it was in the suburbs, which was not affected by the water crisis. That scene is what initially gave me pause, and then of course there were some rumblings going on that fall. I don't know if you guys remember, when Prime had surgery and he was in the hospital, and all these national reports began to surface that he was interviewing with TCU. He vehemently denied it, but in fact, it was true. He was interviewing with TCU as well as other schools, FBS programs. What really showed his character, though, when he showed his hand on his way out that December before the Celebration Bowl, he was on the IG Live with some celebrity, and the IG Live guy, the celebrity was kind of hyping him up, kind of a hype man, and he made mention that none of the JSU alums or locals prayed for him while he was in the hospital, and no one reached out to see how he was doing, etc. Which I know is a lie, because I know all the alumni chapters, we circulated that through email channels, social media. The locals in Jackson were very much so praying for him. I will say this: his exit was one of the most nastiest divorces I've seen in a while. Probably, ironically, since since his divorce with Pilar. But one thing I've noticed over the last 10 to 12 months among Jackson State alums and really the whole HBCU community, there's a lot of trauma, and rightfully so. Of course, we believed in this gentleman who, of course, said he was sent by God, and we invested in him and in his vision. And then, of course, to see things play out the way that they did. And then, of course, our president exited, and then among some other things, there's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of trauma among the base, as well as the HBCU community. And luckily, over the last couple of months, we've been able to kind of move forward in anticipation of the upcoming season. But then, of course, 60 Minutes comes out with a new, interview with Prime. And it's kind of like you pull off a Band-Aid, if you will. So for all the Jacksonians and HBCU fans in the chat and on this panel, I just want to applaud each of you for handling all of this with grace and dignity, but also clapping back when needed to, because one thing that you guys have shown consistently, especially recently, is that we're not going to stand back and allow empty rhetoric to diminish the legacy and the character, not only of Jackson State, but our entire HBCU community. So, Timona, you're doing a wonderful job. And this is just an added layer, almost like a cherry on top, to everything that we've been doing to guard the yard, essentially. But not just guard our yard, guard the yard as it pertains to the HBCU yard. There are some other things. Timona, I came in on the tail end, but I don't know if you actually covered a couple of other items, but there just been so many lies. It's almost like Prime has been living his life the better part of the last decade as a reality show. And within a reality show, you have to have a storyline. And oftentimes with the and oftentimes with the storyline, you have to manufacture drama. So I guarantee, I don't know if you guys have been absolutely. So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, to the post game interviews he had at Colorado. I think either the first game or the second game, he mentioned, "Oh, y'all are afraid of a black man," and whoop to whoop to whoop. My thing is this: I feel like he's already setting the stage. Same thing he did at Jackson State, by manufacturing drama with a stolen boombox and allegedly a stolen jewelry and all that. He's setting the stage for his exit. He's developing his exit strategy. And you're going to begin to hear and see more and more him delivering this narrative about, the racism, of course, that is already there. But he's going to start manufacturing some things in Boulder to justify his exit later down the line, especially if Shador leaves, for the NFL in 2024. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you guys feel the same. But I'm so glad not only that I go to Jackson, that I went to Jackson State, but I'm so glad, like you, Mr. Ford, we have moved on. We are moving forward. We have a very bright future. And, I think more and more people are beginning to see what it really was. And a lot more people are speaking up for Jackson State. And I appreciate all of you guys.
Guys, let's remember one thing. At the anniversary, the 150th anniversary of college football, Jackson State had two coaches on that list, Big John Merritt and W.C. Gord. So let's not forget now that they've always had great coaches. He ain't the first coach that got national prominence. Like I said, you had two on there. And by the way, the name of that book was called Season on the Brink by John Feinstein. It was a book about Bobby Knight and how he thought he was bigger than the president. And to me, it was just like when Prime came to Jackson State. He thought he was bigger than the president. He thought he was bigger than the school.
A lot of people, when it came down to it, once that 60-minute piece came out, it just, like you said, Jerome, it just opened up a lot. That opened up that Band-Aid, and everything just started being regurgitated back from what we heard in January and February, where we had to, we're on the defense, like, hey, chill. Like, like, chill. You don't know what really happened behind closed doors. Now, it's a lot of people that's at Jackson State that had inside intel about what was going on with him or the president, and sometimes we just get so as a community, we get so tired of trying to fight, get tired of fighting back and dispelling all these rumors, all this mess and stuff like that. But see, a lot of people don't know, like right before, like we said, like I brought this up a couple of times a while back. A lot of people don't know how he had founded Prime Prep Academy here in Dallas, and he ran it to the ground from the jump. Like it was a disaster waiting, a disaster waiting to happen. And so, and then of course we all talking about with, his last divorce with Pilar, and how that was so, it was nasty to the point where it did get national attention, and his kids, in the deposition, testifying in the deposition about how, what was going on in between himself and Pilar and stuff like that. Like people don't even talk about that. They just talking about the stuff that he felt like he did for Jackson State. And it's like, if you spend more time, just like, with Timona, if you spend more time researching what really happened and what we did for him, instead of going out and regurgitating all this bull junk that's been spewed over and over and over again. And our people, when I say our people, our Jackson State community is basically on the defense saying, hey, that ain't happened, this ain't happened, he ain't do this, he ain't do that. And I'll be like, look, you know what? Y'all can say what y'all want to say. But we know, we as the Jackson State community know the truth. We knew, what I'm saying, we know what was going on. And the last thing, what, to me, is that in that 60-minute piece, I didn't like how, we all didn't like how it portrayed Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Jackson is a beautiful city. When you ride around Jackson, and of course you're gonna have the parts where it don't look good and everything. But if you just ride around Jackson and you just see everything that's in Jackson that's beautiful and all this stuff like that, it kind of sits. It don't sit well with me when you show a dilapidated house or you still talk about a water crisis. It, you know what I'm saying? It just don't sit well with me. And I'm glad that Coach Reed, who really don't say too much about anything, she came out and put a stop to all the nonsense. And then today when Coach TC came out and said, hey, that ain't how that ain't how Jackson is, like, we glad that we got people like them to lead our kids into the next future. And I
Yes.
yield the floor.
Listen,
Miss Veronica.
I would
Oh,
encourage everybody to read. There was an article written by the New York Times the week when Deion announced that he was going to Colorado. They did a timeline. And basically what they told you was the summer before his last season at Jackson State, he had his people calling different schools. They were calling Colorado that summer. And it was not just Colorado. So you gotta,
I
like,
mean,
I
he
think
did.
you just said it about,
He had a
but
whole
see,
coaching firm. He had a
yeah,
connection
but see,
with a
here's
coaching
the
firm.
thing. When you're doing wrong and you want to justify your wrong, you got to control the narrative. That's all
Mm-hmm.
he's doing. Like somebody just said, it's a reality show. That's why I'm telling y'all, he don't worry me. Because I remember when he was 17, 18 years old. And to be honest with you, he hadn't changed.
Miss Veronica,
Hey,
and
can
then
y'all
Miss.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Okay. I'm doing good. Hi, everybody on the panel. Mr. Ford, I never
Hey,
had an opportunity to say hey to you. Hey.
hey, how you doing?
All right. If y'all just give me a second, because I hadn't spoke publicly on this for a long time, but y'all know how I feel about the Jackson State University. And so and the thing is, we need to understand, and that I had to do my research and realize after everything unfolded, Dion um, only came to Jackson State we know that he only came there to do what he did. So he was never there for the reasons that he said, and he had an agenda from the very beginning.
Thank
So
you.
everything that he did was calculated.
Right.
Everything that was recorded was for a reason. That video that Timona showed earlier about him recording, um, saying that he's going to donate his salary, he did that to support the narrative that's now out there. When he knew that it wasn't going to be true, that video was cut and pasted, and guess who was recording it? Neely. See, all of this was orchestrated and designed from the very beginning. These coaches that he brought in, he was telling them from the very beginning what his plans were. Do you think they were coming to get paid those little pennies from a Power Five program? Some of them were taking pay cuts to come to Jackson State. But if the head coach is telling you, I'm talking to this school, and this school, and eventually I'm gonna take you here, then you have a deal. And he had to make good on those promises to not only those coaches, but to those players. Dion took the job at Jackson State after he was told no to all these programs. But he, like Mr. Ford said, he had to come up with a good selling point and a good
Right.
narrative because he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed that these people wouldn't hire him. How dare you all? not give me an opportunity. I'm Coach Prime. I'm the greatest at this, this, and this. But you also have to realize when you're talking about public financial institution, there are X's and O's that you have to meet the standards and guidelines with the state to be in compliance for audit purposes. You can't have people working at a public institution without a bachelor's degree. You just cannot. That's out of compliance with state guidelines. Now, when he was working at Christian Academy, it's a private institution. They're not mandated under the same bylaws as the state because they're private. You can work there without a bachelor's degree in some certain capacities. You don't have to have that. So a lot of people were saying, well, he coached at his son's high school, so that ain't true. It is true. Private schools does not require the same things as a public or state institution. Okay.
That is true. That's true. Yeah. That's true in the state of Texas.
I know plenty of teachers here in Mississippi that work at private schools. They have maybe have a 2-year, early childhood education and teaching ninth grade math. It just depends on that institution, on the private sector, whether or not they want to hire you in that capacity or not. A lot of private school teachers do have degrees and so what, but it's not a requirement. And I keep telling people, get an understanding of what certified and qualified means, because those are two different definitions. You can be qualified to do a lot of things, but what are your certifications saying? Because that's what's going to get you in those doors. I know a lot of people that's qualified to do a lot of jobs and are great at it, but unless they have that piece of paper that says you're certified, you're not going to walk through those doors. And that's where Deion Sanders, the rubber met the road for him. And that's why he was so upset. So he had to come up with a plan because he was embarrassed, he was hurt, he was angry. So now, okay, I'm going to get my foot in the door and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to prove to you all that I don't have to have this, this, and this. And a lot of people kept saying that he didn't have to have a bachelor's degree to coach. Well, why after 30 plus years? Why after 30 plus years you decide to get your bachelor's degree? If you didn't have to have it, if he didn't have to have it, and he had all these opportunities that they're talking about, it wasn't until he acquired that bachelor's degree that he actually got a coaching position. And I brought all that up because from the very beginning, if some of these people that are behind him and debunking everything that we say and don't want to listen, if you just use your common sense and look at the evidence and the facts of everything that's being presented, you will get a clear understanding of exactly what happened. He was never here for us. He was never here for us. And even in the video, and I'm a hush, but even in the video that I sent the link, he was saying from the very beginning, and this is another thing, Tamona, that you didn't bring up. People were saying from the beginning, Deion said from the very beginning that he that he was looking for another job. He said that from the very beginning that he was going to leave. He never said that from the very beginning. That is an absolute lie. You cannot show me one video where Deion was saying when he first got to Jackson State that he was planning to leave right away or he was looking for other opportunities. The first time I've ever heard him mention that was in the 60-minute interview that he did right before he left. When the interviewer asked him, hey, what if a Power 5 job comes and offer you an opportunity? What are you going to do? I'm going to entertain it. That was his first time ever mentioning it. Anytime he was asked before then, he was always talking about God sent him. This is my calling. I'm here because on a mission. We're going to level the playing field. We're going to do this and do that. And that's what sold and brought all those little black boys to Jackson State, thinking that they were helping him do what he was saying that he was called to do. And if I'm a 17, 18, or 19-year-old kid, and my idol is sitting here telling me, hey, we've been underfunded, y'all have been misused, thinking that you got to go to a PWI to make it. I'm going to prove to these people that you all don't have to, and I want you to come over here with me and do it. I would go too. I would want to be a part of that mission. I definitely would. But the way that he just brought them in under that influence and left him was just not right. And I yield the floor.
Hey, I just want to jump in real quick. I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of times that Coach Prime told Jackson State no, in the sense of marketing and branding and the commercial. So, of course, Jackson State would have loved to have had Coach Prime incorporated into, a marketing advertisement for recruitment, commercials for YouTube, et cetera. He said no. I don't think you guys remember anytime we had the JSU Day of Giving, his social media was silent. He never actually, promoted our Day of Giving. And Jackson State does a phenomenal job anyway of, the results from our Day of Giving, but we clearly could have doubled or tripled the results, but he never actually wanted to participate in that. He told the university no. But on the flip side, conversely, when you look at Colorado football games, you see their university commercial and they're like, hey, we're prime time in research. We're prime time in this. And they got Coach Prime's, image and likeness all up in it. And just a whole lot of stuff going on. It's like a total flip flop. And that to me also speaks volumes to his lack of commitment to not only Jackson State, but his initial stance on what he was looking to accomplish. So I yield the floor.
Brother Bakari?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
All right.
Good.
Yeah. Look, I just I ain't gonna be here long, but look, man, I just want to look what Deion did, and this is not me trying to big him up in it, because I really don't like Deion at all. I'm being honest, I hate Deion. I hate Deion Sanders. I'm being honest. That's why it's hard for me to even pull for his children. See, that's why it's hard for me to say I want to see any of them do good. I don't care what they do, in all honesty. But this was a well thought out plan, and it started. It's some interviews on YouTube. I put them in the chat. I put it in the chat. I ain't put the interviews there. I got to find them, right? There's some interviews on YouTube. This started, it was a well thought out plan about 2 years before he ever got the Jackson State job. I remember my nephew used to tell me all the time, man, we see Deion Sanders down here a lot. I'm like, down where? Like in Jackson. And I started listening to his videos, and he started talking about Black Power. This is about 2 years before he ever got the job. And it was things he didn't know and stuff he wanted his children to know. So he became friends with David Banner, and he used to be in and out of Jackson at David Banner house and introduce his son to David Banner, because David Banner had the Hear the Hood project, and David Banner do things in the community. And I heard about 5, 6 of those videos about 2 years before he ever even got the job. I'm not saying David Banner was involved with him, what he did, but what I am saying is he thought this out. He knew how to play Black people. He knew how to play, let's say, somebody like me, who's talking about, I believe in Black Power wholeheartedly, right? So when he started talking about how he believed in Black Power, that was right up my alley. And the things that he want to do in the community, I remember him saying all of this in these interviews, and I'll find them, Doc, and when I find them, I'll send them to you, and how we can just have this strong community and the things that we can do together that can just make us a great people, because we don't have to this is why I quit my job at NFL Network, because I want us to understand the power that we can have in our community. We need to understand that as a community, that we can be a powerful people. You know how he talked. Then when he came on the scene and he talking about he want to do this for his people, I'm gonna be honest, I bit the hook about 2 years before he ever got that job. And one of my homeboys from Jacksonville, Florida, used to always tell me, man, don't listen to that. Deion got some. Deion got some up his sleeve. He know Deion through one of his friends that was in the NFL. He's not like their best friends or nothing, but he knew him. He like, man, Deion got something up his sleeve. Don't listen to that. But I'm gonna be honest. I bit the hook when he started talking about that. And you know when he came on the scene and said God, all he had to do was say God. You already know black people. And I ain't saying this to be disrespectful. But when he said God, you knew our people was going to fall to the, oh Lord, God done sent him. So the thing, what I'm saying is this was a plan. He, my opinion, he thought this plan out very well for a couple of years. Then on top of that, he's a celebrity. Black people in love with celebrity. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a lot of people on social media that is still going to come at JSU. And the only thing I can say, man, don't let none of these Billy Apes get on y'all damn. I hate them damn Billy Apes. Don't let none of them. Don't let none of them. Don't let none of them get on your nerves and get you. Cause I'm pissed too. I'm gonna be honest. It hurt. Not the fact that he left. It hurt because how he left and when he left, how he treated black people and how he treated HBCUs. Because for me, it ain't just about Jackson. See, he's saying Jackson State because that's where he was. But I want y'all to understand, he's talking about HBCUs. He's talking about black people in general. You notice he would not mention the violent crime on the rise in Boulder, Colorado University, Capitol Hill. There's a whole article on that if you want to find that. There's a whole article on that. They were talking about the violent crime on rise on College Hill in Boulder, Colorado. But he would never mention that. He said on it the other night and talked about how he forgive the person that almost broke Travis Hunter in half with an illegal hit. I'm not saying whether you should or you shouldn't, because I ain't expecting nobody to be mean. But what I'm saying is you didn't stand up and fight for your player. But when he had problem with Jackson State, he come to the podium. What y'all got to say? What you got to say? I got time today. I got time today. As if he can just push black people around. But it's so many of our people that's just gonna follow whatever he says because he's a celebrity. I'm telling you, and I'm being honest. And I don't even like to use the word hate because I don't want to hate, because I try not to hate because hate can control you. And I can end up taking it out on the people I'm around because I ain't never around him. But I'm being honest, I hate him. And I hate all those Billy Apes that want to sit and talk noise about black people as if they're not black. As if they're not black and talk noise about HBCUs. What he said, the governor. You can find Luther Campbell interview. The governor is one of Deion Sanders' very best friends. The Tate Reeves, that's one of his best friends. And Luther Campbell was talking in one of the damn interviews, and what he said was, he was down and they were talking to the governor, and they're telling the governor of Mississippi about some of the things that's going on at Jackson State, right? And I just, after he said that and you sat back and look, once he made that statement, I wonder about 2-3 months later from the time frame Luther Campbell was talking about, it's amazing that the president ended up being fired. I'm not saying that's what they talked about, but you know his name came up in some damn text messages because Brett Favre, another one of them rednecks who's stealing, that's also one of his very best friends. Look, and you know, I'm just sick of Deion. Sheila, I'm glad you decided to do this because the receipts needed to be shown. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of all the Billy Apes that follow him. I'm sick of all of them. And as much as I love black people, and you know, you go out here and you put your life on the line, right? They don't understand. And again, and I know people, man, that turn down millions to stay and fight. And when he talk about them HBC, I have a family legacy with HBCUs. And when he talk about that, when he just talking about that, I'm like, I take this personal. Because he talking about the work my pops did. I hate Deion Sanders, and I'm just being honest with you. And all those Billy Apes, like I said, all them Billy Apes that follow him around and act like he is God and he can't do no wrong and he's Coach Prime or whatever they want to call him. No, we can't let people, like I said, I'm glad you did this. I'm glad Rev do it. I'm glad Doc did his video last night, because you have to stand up and say something, and we have to start being proactive. And but appreciate you for letting me speak. But I'm serious, man. That bastard, I hate that, because I mean, because it's not just Jackson State. It's not just the Jackson State alum. It's not just the students at Jackson State. My son is a junior there now. It's not just them. Everything he's saying, he's talking about black people, the black community, because he has separated himself because he's a so-called celebrity and black people worship him. I'll yield the mic.
Thank you, Brother Bakari. Miss Veronica, Jerome, Mr. Ford.
Yeah,
y'all
I did want to add one more thing too. What I had to say. Another part about this whole narrative that really got me shook was when he left. Everything was coming about the water crisis, about the crime, about the university's upkeep or what it was like and everything that was needed. I was so hurtful what it was like and everything. I'm getting some feedback. Hello?
Oh, go ahead. I had to mute
Okay.
Mr. Willie. Mr. Willie, you're next after Miss Veronica.
Okay. My whole thing was, it takes literally, I know that he has the little his little lady that, what is she to him? His agent? What is that lady to him?
Constance Schwartz.
Yeah, what is she? His personal assistant?
She is his
talent manager.
Yeah, talent manager. So she's like what Eugene Parker was when he was still alive, she's like his agent.
Okay, so at the end of the day, Deion has a team of people that work for him, right? So it literally takes 5-10 minutes to Google where you're going, right? So it literally would have took them 30 minutes to Google what is the crime like in Jackson, Mississippi? What is the establishments like in Jackson, Mississippi? How much revenue is coming into the city of Jackson and Jackson State University? What is my salary going to be when I get there? What are the football facilities looking like? What am I walking into? So you're telling me that you walked into this situation blindly and then you want to leave and complain about everything that was wrong? You didn't have to take this job. You did not have to take this job. You knew all of this coming in, but then you bash us about everything that you knew coming in when you leave. That was very hurtful for me because you did not. I go on a lot of interviews. I've went on a lot of interviews in my days. If I didn't get a good vibe from the facility that I'm in, I'm not taking a position. He could have not taken the position if he didn't need it. He needed the position. Why people are saying that he did us a favor. No, we did him a favor. He wouldn't have took a position in a city that he's saying is full of crime. He wouldn't have took a position in a city that you knew that had a water crisis. This crisis didn't just start when you got here. You knew that this facility was underfunded and went up to par. You knew all of this coming in, but yet you still took the job. It doesn't make sense.
I just want to piggyback off of that, Ms. Veronica, because you're absolutely correct. Not only did he know about all of those variables prior to coming, but I think some of those earlier interviews kind of get lost in the sauce. A lot of people, of course, remember him stating God called him collect. But there were some interviews, guys, where Prime mentioned that his mere presence in Jackson was going to lower the crime rate and decrease teenage pregnancies. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? So, after a while, I think he said it maybe for his first one or two interviews, and then he stopped saying it. He just stuck with, God called him. But he absolutely knew all the variables that were at stake in Jackson. They happened to be some of his initial talking points. But I think because some of those talking points sounded a bit way too far-fetched, he began to pull back. But I'm going to yield the floor. But prior to me leaving, Timon, I want to thank you again for this platform. Thank you for your presentation tonight. I just want to encourage all Jackson State alums. Of course, please attend the game this weekend if you're able to. Let's pack out the vet. Let's have a really great JSU good time, and continue to support not only Tiger Athletics for the rest of the season, but of course, university moving forward. Of course, we're looking to name a new president more than likely by the end of October, early November. So we hope that everybody stays engaged. But thee I love, and again, you guys have a great night, and thank you so much, Timona.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on, Jerome. Mr. Willie, how you doing? Let me see. Hang on. How you doing, Mr. Willie?
I'm doing good. I just want to be brief. I'm glad that you came on with the receipts tonight. I think you left off a few things, the DDRs and the primates be saying, oh, well, he brought y'all Under but they forgot that. Well, I know that a lot of those DDRs, they don't know nothing about Jack. They don't know nothing about HBCU. They didn't start following this until Prime came. They forget that we had Nike, that Jackson State had Nike as sponsoring and making their uniforms before Deion. Deion said he couldn't work with Nike. He didn't want to work with Nike. He didn't take that shit out to Colorado, did he? They want to talk like, that field over there, the practice field. We already had a practice field. Deion wanted to put a artificial turf out there so when it rained, it wouldn't be muddy. Any grass and dirt get muddy when it rains. It's not exception to Jackson State. He just wanted it. He wanted it, and that was good, and we appreciate that. But I'm glad that you came on tonight with these receipts. The DDRs, they need to hear this. A lot of people you hear all types of foolishness every day, every single day. And my biggest part, I was talking to my cousin yesterday. He lives here in Jackson, and he was in on that foolishness. Oh, they stole money. Okay, where your receipts at, partner? They done already. I told him back when they first debunked all this, but they still flow with the narrative. They still run with this narrative that money was stolen. All this stuff that you brought out tonight. They come with this narrative. My biggest thing is I used to be just like the other brother, but you can't hate. You got to be a little bit more wiser. You can't put yourself in the position to hate another brother. You might not like him. I grew up liking Deion, but I don't have no love for him at this point. I don't hate him, but I don't have no love for him. You can't come in and say, now I know he was full of shit when he was talking about no. I mean, I'm serious, Doc. I knew he was full of it.
I know you.
When he started talking about God, God don't have nothing to do with sports and stuff. So I knew he was full of it, but the sincerity, how he was coming. See, it wasn't just Jackson State. I seen the whole HBCU nation in a movement. I was trying to tell Rip Daniels this 2 days ago. I seen the whole HBCU. Things was gonna change. See, I can remember seeing Doug Williams up there in that Memorial Stadium before they even added the U in the 70s. So I've been following this for a long time, and there's a lot of people on here that weren't even born when Deion was playing, but they want to ride his. They want to be a DDR, and it's frustrating when you hear people come in and you sell this idea to the whole HBCU community. It wasn't just Jackson State was getting people, Florida A&M. It was Hampton. It was all these HBCUs. It was going to flip. I believe in 3 years it would have flipped back. It would have flipped around to where those Power 5 schools would have been just like a local junior college. I believe it was going to be just that impactful. I believe if that joker would have stayed here another 5 years, at least another 5 years, he'd been bigger than Eddie Robinson. He'd have had everything he wanted to have. But I knew he was getting paid over $1 million with the endorsements, with all the little side deals. Well, it was people that was debunking this all the time. But I'm glad that you came on with these receipts. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this video as many times as I can through several of my pages, where maybe it'll get to some of the people. But some people just gonna hate. Some people are just childish, miserable, and they just wanna have they want everybody else to be miserable. You all heard the saying, misery love company. And that's what you facing with when you facing these DDRs. And I just, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to get that out, because you have a panel of eloquent speakers, and they said pretty much everything I wanted to say. But thank you for taking my call. And
thank you, Willie. I just wanted to ask you a question. Here, let me.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna mute your mic while I talk, Willie, and then I'll unmute you. So this is the question to the panel. And this is basically, where do we go from here? Not just as Jackson State University, but as HBCUs. So for me, moving forward, I still think we have a couple more hits to go as far as like low blows about HBCUs. And, that might be just because of the impending losses that are possibly going to happen in Colorado. Somebody has to be the punching bag for these DDRs. So to me, I feel like I want to be able to enjoy my Saturdays of HBCU football, and I want to go into roughing the swag, or swacking a fool page, and just go back and forth with other HBCU people. And that's the extent that I want to do. I don't want to have to go on Twitter and go on rants and raves about misinformation. So what I wanted to ask the panel is, moving forward, how do HBCUs center themselves around everything that we have with our culture and everything that we have with our football games? Because we're in the bulk of the season. This is the best time for everything that we've all been talking mess about for the past 6-8 months. We all been talking mess. So how do we collectively use this energy and put it towards HBCU football?
I say this, man, the only way we can do is just go up from here. And we got our, everybody, we have our little rivalries with everybody. We have our Jackson State, we got a little small rivalry with FAMU. They think it's a rivalry, but we don't think of it like that. But the back and forth that we go through, it, we could have it as fun, be fun and games. But to me, let somebody get out of line from the outside, get out of line and start talking, start trashing FAMU. The same way most of the HBCU community came to the defense of of Jackson State and how that 60 Minutes interview was portrayed. We need to do this, do the same thing for FAMU. Like last season, when FAMU had certification problems, did we talk bad? Did we talk bad about like players can't play and all the stuff they were going through? No, we came together and said, hey man, that's effed up. They need to do something about it. And then when they did something about it, with first hiring Tiffany Sykes as the AD, and then when she went and hired more people for the certification, the compliance department, we need to do that stuff. Like now, you got a lot of players across the board at Hampton that's ineligible because they not certified. We need to come to their defense, because it's going to be a lot of people from the outside saying, well, the HBCU's not doing this. They corrupt. They steal money. They, they don't keep their campuses, they don't have upkeep on their campuses and stuff like that. we just need to come together as one. Like, if you come for one, man, you gotta, you come for all. If an outsider try to talk noise about HBCUs, you're not just coming for just one institution. You come for all 107 institutions that's in the United States that's designated as a historically Black college or university. So that's what we need to do, is come in one accord and just get rid and go back to taking control of our narrative. That's
Right.
what we need to do. We need to take control. We need to take back control of our narrative from all these outside folks that don't know a damn thing about an HBCU. They ain't never stepped foot on the campus of an HBCU. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I could go back to it. Like I said, I tell people, HBCUs run through my whole family. We might not went, to the same school, but it runs throughout my whole family. My family tree can go all the way from Langston to Prairie View, Texas Southern, Paul Quinn, Jarvis, all the way to freaking Howard, FAMU, Alcorn, and Jackson State, and even Valley. Like, we could take control of that whole narrative and just kill all that noise if we just come together on one accord. But if they don't want to do that, then we gonna be fighting with these folks from then on out.
Thank you. Simply Beautiful, do you want to say something real quick before I go to Miss Veronica, Mr. Ford, and Willie, or Mr. Brother Bakari?
Yes, I just want to say, Timona, I am so proud. I am so happy that you did this. You never disappoint. And I'm sorry. Good evening to everybody on the panel and in the chat. I think, as far as the HBCU family, what I want to see is us stop bickering, stop the pettiness. Baton Rouge is no better than Jackson. Jackson is no better than Baton Rouge. Posting little stuff like that, it just makes us look so bad. We're fighting each other. We got so much bigger to fight than each other. It's 107 HBCUs. I understand good banter is always warranted. But when I see us fighting each other, it's just embarrassing to see. Little pettiness, who got the best bus? Who did this first? It doesn't matter who did what first. We need to be unified. That's all I wanted to say. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Simply Beautiful, for coming on and speaking. Mr. Ford, Brother Bakari, Willie, any suggestions on what we should do moving forward?
Yeah. One thing we got to realize, we're in the midst of a golden era as far as HBCUs is concerned. And I'm in education, and it's been 40 years or more since we've had the number of Black children now, outstanding Black children, not only in athletics, but in academics and in creativity, who want to go to an HBCU. And the number one thing that we got to do at the HBCU is make sure that our human infrastructure, that our presidents are outstanding and committed, that our faculty is outstanding and committed, that our athletic directors, our faculty reps, our head coaches, our assistant coaches, that all of these people are outstanding people and that they are committed. Because we have the interest. Like I said, for the last 2 or 3 years, you have so many Black children that, like I said, we haven't had this kind of interest since the 70s, who want to go to an HBCU. But we got to make sure that the infrastructure, the human infrastructure that we have in place is outstanding. And that's one of the things we got to understand. Listen, this stuff that they saying about HBCUs, they've been saying that 150 years. It's the same thing over and over again. This is America. America was built on racism. America was built on keeping down Hispanics, Blacks, Native Americans. Y'all think they're going to change? No, we got to change. And it's not all of our children, but we got a solid 30% right now that have decided they don't want to charade no more. They don't want to play like they chocolate covered white folks. They want to be who they are. They want to be what God made them. And they want to go to the schools that love them. Ain't no love for no black people at no University of Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, Tennessee, FSU, Florida Gators. They don't love no black athletes. All they do is they are commodities. They make millions and billions of dollars off of them. And then once they get through using them, they send them back to the ghetto they got them from, or from under the bridge they got them from. But see, we have love for them, okay? And that's why we will always be important. Now, as far as this athletics is concerned, I don't know if y'all done forgot, but it's a whole lot of athletes at these Power Fives and Group of Five that want to come to the SWAC, that want to come to the MEAC, that want to come to the SIAC, that want to come to the CIAA. They want to come because I've talked to them. So the main thing, guys, once again, is our infrastructure. We got to make sure our presidents are outstanding, our administrations are outstanding. We got to make sure our coaches are outstanding, our athletic directors are outstanding. We got to make sure that when those children come to our school, they get outstanding teachers, outstanding just an experience. That's what we got to make sure they get, an outstanding experience when they get there. Thank you, Mr. Mona, and it's always great to be on your show. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, for coming on.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Ford. Good being up here with you again. And look, let me Whitley, I think that's her name. She put in the chat about social media. We do need to be more progressive. We need to be more aggressive with the social media. One thing I can say that Deion did, he made sure they were always in people's eyes and in people. That we need to get back into the social media thing, and we really do. We need to be filming these players. The players should have channels, and everybody should be, my opinion, and everybody should be following them. Social media seems to be where it is today. And when it comes to HBCUs, in all honesty, even though Jackson State have a bigger presence than any other HBCU that I see on social media, we're still lacking with player interaction. We're still lacking with the players talking, with the players with the players being on camera. Now, and like Mr. Ford said, he was talking about it's been a long time since our youth wanted to go to an HBCU. They're starting to understand. Did y'all see the young brother that transferred from Jackson State that played baseball and went to Valdosta State? Did y'all see what happened to him? When he went down there, they made him cut. They told him if he don't cut his locks out of his head, he didn't cut them, saying it had to be a certain length. So he said he cut him to that certain length, but they kicked him off the team anyway. The coach kicked him off the team anyway because he didn't want that natural look on the team. Our children and our youth shouldn't have to go to that. Our children and our youth, and when I'm saying our, they ain't but they ours, shouldn't have to go to Alabama to see a sellout. If we really about it, right? We really should be, and it shouldn't just be like Jackson State been getting before Deion came there. They've been getting 35,000 people in the stands. So it shouldn't go. And when he was there, it was 42. It should be up around 45 or 50. We should support, regardless of a celebrity there, whether a celebrity there or not. We should be doing the same thing. We should be selling out the stadium, just like everybody else sell out their season tickets, just like everybody else sell out. We shouldn't have a problem selling out. And I understand that economics sometimes might not be there, but we shouldn't have a problem. When I'm saying we, I'm not just talking about Jackson State. I'm talking about HBCUs. We shouldn't have a problem selling out our stadiums because we're not playing at Wisconsin, because we're not playing at Lily White, Colorado. We should not We should not have that problem. We need another, and I don't know Coach TC, but this seems like it may not be his personality. He might be more like Larry Holmes and Stella Ali. He ain't as outspoken, but he gonna do the work, and everybody gonna see what he built. But we do need more coaches like, oh man, I can't even think of his name, from North Carolina Central. The way he speak, and the way he speak of HBCUs, and after they beat North Carolina A&T, and how he stood on that podium telling people, telling our youth, you don't have to go to the CAA or these other schools. You can come to an HBCU and can play. Come to the MEAC and come to the SWAC. We need more people calling them out, and we need less people. I ain't gonna even go there because I ain't trying to knock nobody. I was finna say another coach, but I ain't gonna even go there. But these are the things that we need. So if we want to move forward, our social media game with the players, our social media game with the players and on campus, it need to be on point. It need to be more interaction so the fans can have a feeling like they know him. I watch his videos. I'm subscribed to his channel, but I see when they go in there. But it has fallen off. I thought Jackson State said they had a guy who was going to be doing it, but I don't know. It really need to be done. I don't know if you have to pay somebody to do it, because even though I be on YouTube, I really don't know it, like I don't get into it like that. But these are some of the things. These are some of the things that we need, and it's gonna take, in order for HBCUs to build and go forward, it's gonna take a collective effort. Of course, black folk, like the one dude put in the chat, we gonna talk noise. That's what we do. But if you're just having fun, that's one thing. But it's gonna have to take a collective effort for us to move forward, and for us to see it. Just like the HBCUs is a microcosm of the black community, and vice versa. It's gonna take a collective effort for black people to build the community that we really and truly want. It's gonna take a collective effort, the HBCUs with the communities, to build the HBCUs and build the communities. So that's what we're gonna need moving forward. More social media, more of a collective effort, working together with the universities. And what I hear about Jackson State, they are in the community. So with the universities, the HBCUs working with the community, and vice versa, and we doing things, and there's really nothing that can stop us. And then we can get our talent, and then before you know it, we'll see us beating teams like when Texas State and Rice and SMU beat HBCUs. In a couple of years, it could really be the other way around. They're looking at the scores, it's us beating Texas State and SMU and Rice, and everybody wondering what's going on. It's us beating teams in the Sun Belt and Conference USA all the time. Because see, the thing about it, one thing Deion said, he said, I believe, which I think we all believed. I didn't get that from him. But the thing about it is, we have to continue to believe, and we have to continue improving. If we want to improve, we will improve. And that's what we have to want to do. We have to want to improve. And on that note, thank you for letting me speak. It was good being up here with you, SheLovesThee. Hey, Doc, I'll be shooting you an email. So peace to everybody. I'm going to listen offline. Thank you.
Thank you for the panel. Miss Veronica, do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, my final thoughts are pretty much, I think that we're already trending in the right direction and moving forward to a common goal as far as Jackson State goes. We have a director of media in place that is owned and operated by the university. We are partnering with the boosters in the Blue Bengal, and they have come out and people are joining that for the cause. We're speaking out on social media against all of the false narratives and moving forward. But the main thing for me is still and I think somebody put this out.
Thunder and lightning got
If
you.
if we're going to guard the yard and protect the block, that includes the head coach. I think we really need to start showing more respect to the head coach and set realistic expectations and goals for our football team. At this point, this is a revamped team, a new head coach, a new administration, and I think the expectations have been set are pretty unrealistic. In my opinion, this is my opinion. You're expecting him to have the success that Coach Prime had with the team that he has, and to me, that's just unfair. I think anybody that knows football knows that it takes at least two or three cycles to really get the team that you want and get the program built the way that you want to have an overall winning program, and it's expecting to have a winning program. And I think that we want this microwave type mentality, not even just with football, but the overall turnaround. And that's where Prime wanted. He wanted things right now. Like, I want this done now. I want this fixed now. I want this. And we have to understand that certain things take a little more time. But I feel like that we're trending in the right direction. I feel like that we are moving forward and doing the things that we're supposed to do, and we just need to continue to build on that. I think that some of the things that we can do to assist is doing things on our own. If you see a player, hey, have you ever thought about coming? This is something that I've done personally. Was friends with a kid from Brandon on Facebook that was really good at football. I jumped in his inbox. I said, "Hey, have you ever thought about, coming to HBCU?" He was like, "I have, but I hadn't received any offers from a HBCU." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, send me your film. Let's get your film out there to some HBCUs." And just small things like that. You have to be the change that you want. Start reaching out to these kids individually. Tell them about our HBCUs. Ask them if they're interested. Even if you feel like that he ain't gonna come to no HBCU, he got this offer and that offer and this offer and that offer. And not only just athletes, but our young girls and boys. I tell my kids all the time, they had already made up their mind what schools they want to go to. And I said, okay, fine. But if you want to get your master's degree and I'm going to pay for it, you're going to get it from HBCU. You have to just set boundaries. You have to come up with a plan. You have to and start being the change that you want individually so that collectively we can reach those overall common goals. And that's just how I feel about the progress and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Veronica, for coming on. I love that we had a very diverse panel tonight to come and share their thoughts. And then, of course, the chat was great. Mr. Willie, are you still on here? You still on here?
I wanted to say yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a quick question. Oh, wait. Okay, I have to mute you while I'm talking because there's some blowback. Okay, so the question that I have to ask is about the haters and what do they say, Mr. Willie? The haters.
Well, you pretty much covered it. I was ready to say something else. What I want to say, what needs to be done is,
okay.
I think that you all, you know who I'm talking about. You all that covers the SWAC, you all that have the YouTube spaces. I think you all should get together and get a collective head and decide on how you all want to approach this. First of all, that's going to be hard, but I think that the people that's still in it is really in it because they love what they're doing, regardless of their platform or how they set their program up. I think they have a genuine love for the SWAC in Jackson State. Now, I want to say this. Now, this is going to probably step on some people's toes. My son scored a 29 on the ACT when he was in the 9th grade. He was in the IB program then. It was some mess going on with JPS, and he went back over to Lanier. Took them to their first playoffs in over 20 years. But he was a preseason Under Armour All-American in baseball. He didn't get not named offer from Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley, Alabama State, none of those HBCUs, and we bleed blue and blue and white. We bleed blue and white. So he had to end up going. He had a full ride at Tulane. He didn't want to go down to Tulane. He went up to Ole Miss, walked on at Ole Miss. They looked at his old film and gave him a full scholarship. That's effing ridiculous. Until Deion came there. Now, this is the only credit that I'm going to give that slime ball. He had people to look at recruiting outside of Jackson, outside of legacy recruiting. The best legacy player I've seen is DJ Stevens. Him and my son come up together. My son was All-American. I'm All-American. He threw 95 miles an hour. He could throw a football 100 yards. And he ran a 4.4 40. And not now HBCU recruited him. They want to make up the school. We thought that the big schools were they didn't even reach out. So that you need to change. And another thing you need to change, you need to start scheduling more MEAC SWAC schools to play each other. Every school in the MEAC, every school in the SWAC should play one another every year.
When you say MEAC SWAC, you mean like more than one MEAC SWAC challenge in a year?
Well, just like you schedule instead of scheduling a Division II school, schedule a SWAC school, MEAC schools. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, you ain't got to have no special boat or no special game. It's just instead of scheduling Division II schools or lesser conference schools, schedule a MEAC SWAC school where you can. It's people over here want to see Howard and Hampton. It's people over there want to see Jackson State, and Alcorn, and Grambling. And I think they just need. Back in the 70s, man, when I was watching this stuff back in the 70s, when I was a child, I was following the MEAC. They had Winston-Salem State was one of the top schools there then. And I wish they would come up with a celebration bowl like they have now. Now we done come to that. I think we need to just schedule more of our people and showcase more of our people. And we need to get more, like the brother said, we need to get into more into social media. Get more into social media. But I think you all know who I'm talking about. All of y'all need to get together. All 7 of y'all need to get together and come up with some type of concept on how you all want to go move this thing forward, because combining all of you all together, you all getting a pretty large amount of viewership and people participating. So I think that's a good start, because people watch you every day and listen to you every day. And your show tonight is just, I mean, it's going to be hard for anybody to top those ones tonight, because you put out some, you laid out some bricks tonight. So that's basically what I wanted to say. I think I want to see HBCUs, not just Jackson State, Alcorn Valley. I want to see all of them. Reach out to your local people. Do just like Florida State. Florida State, when Bobby Bowden was there, they recruited from Tallahassee's out. They started in Tallahassee and they moved out. That was Jackson State. That were Alcorn. That's what all of them need to do. You need to recruit your local talent. Stop just riding around getting those free meals or whatever you do. Go out there and really recruit and get them players that really want to come. Just like Mr. Ford said, it's people that really want to come to the HBCUs, but they don't even get an offer. My son scored a effing 29. That's an automatic scholarship anywhere in the country, and not now HBCU offer. And he was a preseason All-American. I'm just getting mad sitting up there thinking about it. But you all have a nice night. I thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Mr. Willie.
Tamona, can I add one more thing before I go?
Yes, ma'am.
This is one thing, and we're talking about forward thinking and in the show, and one thing that I was thinking about, like, we have to step outside of our box and comfort zone. We have how many kids from Madison Central on our team that came from Madison Central High School?
We got a couple of them, like 4
It's
or 5.
like Washington, Isaiah Spencer, and who else?
Barney, Braxton Barney.
I felt like we should have, as alumni base, donated tickets for them to give away at their pep rallies. Do you know how many more kids would come with those kids that won those tickets to come see their fellow past schools, whatever they are, students play? Like that was
I
a
think
good
this year we have such a good number of local talent: Braxton Barney, Isaiah
yeah,
Spencer, BJ Washington. I
yeah,
think there's probably about, I would say, 20 to 25, and I might even
yeah,
be lowballing it, of
yeah.
just
But we
um
could have bought tickets to give away at their pet rallies, just
okay.
to kind of boost the, like, if we would have donated tickets and said, hey, at your pet rallies, do a drawing and give away, tickets to see them play. If we would have gave 10 tickets away at the pet rally, it probably would have bought 20 students
Mhm.
because somebody is going to come with somebody. We have to think about those things because they're right here in the central Mississippi area. We should have been doing things like that to promote the games. But that's some things that I just be thinking about that we can do, small tokens, when we're talking about moving forward, being innovative and being progressive. And then those kids come and see that experience. They may want to come to Jackson State. They may want to come to HBCU because it's an experience they probably had never seen before. So when we're talking about promoting our HBCUs, we have to think outside the box because these people at these schools, at Brandon High School, at Madison High School, at Northwest Rankin High School, they're not finna tell these kids about an HBCU. They're not. So you have to think of ways that you can get your foot in the door to introduce it to these students that are in these predominantly white neighborhoods. And those are just some ways that I was thinking of that can get them to come to the university to see what the facilities look like, to see what the atmosphere is like. And maybe they will like it and want to visit the campus and open up new doors for them. So those are just some different things that I was just thinking of that probably would be beneficial.
Absolutely.
And I like that too, cause me and my fiance, we did that with our stepson, where you know he didn't know anything about Jackson. He didn't know nothing about Jackson State. He knew very little about HBCUs, but by bringing him to Jackson, when we brought him for homecoming, and letting him see and experience it for himself, his mind, to me, his mind was made up because he was talking about going back, he want to go back home to California. And Mrs. like, dude, you need to see what's outside of where you're originally from. And so um he made the decision. It was a surprise to everybody, and I think that was the best decision that he made. Another thing that to forward thinking is basically like how, as far as us creators go, when we tell people to subscribe, share our video or share our platform, um just share it with somebody, and then tell that person to share it with somebody, and tell that person to share with somebody. You pay it, what I'm saying? It's a pay it forward type deal, where you'll get your viewerships up, you'll get the subscribers up. And that's how we can actually get that going to people that don't know about our, what I'm saying, about our institutions. And they could learn about our institutions. They could learn about our football team. They could learn about our basketball. They could learn about our 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 culture, at these institutions, how we go about.
I think Jackson State is definitely on the map. So
Mm-hmm.
right now at this point, it's what are we doing with being on the map? We're still in the algorithm on YouTube. We're still on the algorithm on Twitter. So continuing to hashtag guard the yard, the I love, and just continuing to put out positive content. If you're on social media and if you see a recruit say, I'm excited to be at Jackson State at the stadium, or I'm coming for a visit, commenting underneath their post, that stuff matters. It really does. Like
It really does.
those, they showing love, even if you're on Twitter, that matters. Going on to Some of these, and it's not even just for the football players, it's for the soccer players, for baseball, for basketball. There's so many different avenues for just showing love, showing that you're appreciative that they're there, that they're at Jackson State, and that they chose to be at our school. Those are things that they look at and it's like, oh wow, it's like going from one family to the next. I'm home away from home. So these are things that continue to show not even just our current players, continue to support them and thanking them for choosing Jackson State and continuing to stay at Jackson State, and then supporting our coach, like they were saying, not even just Coach TC Taylor, but we have our soccer coaches, our basketball coaches, Coach Reed. We're powerhouse sports wise in a lot of sports other than football. So just making sure I'm getting ready to show everybody a place where you can actually, it's kind of like it's called Influxer Merch. And the Influxer Merch website is basically where all of the student athletes are. You have like a Jackson State website, and so it has not only just football, but it also has like the basketball team. I want to say that soccer has recently signed up as well. So being able to support them, even if it's buying one of their shirts and letting them know, like tagging them, like I just got my merch, that type of stuff, they appreciate that. And you know, not everybody is going to get $1 million NIL deal. It's just not going to happen. But if you can show student athletes by buying their shirt and tagging them in it and showing them like, yeah, I'm wearing your stuff today, or I got my shirt, that shows how much you appreciate them. I'm going to drop that link. It's called Influxer Merch. It has the majority of all of our student athletes on the webpage, influxermerch.com. If you're on social media, you'll see them post. But basically, it has all of their merch on there with their last name and whatever number they are. Here's just an example. This is Ahmad Miller, and it's just his shirt, a sweater, short sleeve, long sleeve. And by making a purchase of their shirts, you're able to basically give back to them. And you're just showing that you're appreciative. Is anybody, Mr. Walker, before we leave, Mr. Walker did want to close it out in prayer. And who am I to knock when God calls? So Mr. Walker is going to do a short prayer, and then I'm going to play, of course, some Jackson State music. Thank you so much for tuning in to my live, basically to dispel the narratives and myths. Please, please, please share as to as many people as possible. Share to them and just say, you know what? Let me get an hour of your time. Just watch this and then come back and let me know, do you feel the same way? Also, make sure you hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now. We have lots of different shows that will be going on. And last but not least, if you feel led and it's led in your heart, you can make a donation, even if it's just $5. All of it is put back into the channel to help support me and support everything that I'm doing here. Thank you guys so much. Mr. Walker, can you lead us?
All right. To the chat, to the panel, we thank you guys for coming in. Sister Timona, niece, wonderful show. Wonderful show.
Thank you.
As we give you your flowers. Wonderful show. As we close our eyes, open our hearts and our minds. Our precious Father in heaven, we thank you. We thank you for critical thinking skills, Father. Father, we know that you control the ultimate narrative, Father, where it will not be negative upon our culture, Father. And we thank you for that. We thank you for bringing light into our space, Father. Father, we ask that you, with your loving hands, continue to touch us, Father. We know we have a lot of work to do, Father, but we know through you, the HBCU culture can conquer anything. We thank you, Father, because we are well equipped, Father. And we love you. And as we love our culture as well. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. JSU by 40. Peace.